Morning, everybody. As we go to the Chumash of today, we're holding Thursday, the fifth reading in the portion of Shoftim, which is on chapter 18, verse number 14. Because these nations which you are inheriting them, they go to the diviners and the of times and the illusionists. Yishmo, they listen to these kind of illusionists. But to you, your God has abandoned you to these. Now she says to listen to those divine through times and sticks, for he has let his divine presence rest upon you, upon the prophets, upon the Urim V'Tumim, and it communicates to you through them. God, your God, will appoint a prophet for you from amongst you. A love to him you must hearken to. Hearken. Mean, just as I am amongst you from your brothers, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, just like I am amongst you from your brothers, so too will he appoint you another in place of me, a prophet. And similarly, every successive prophet, everything you ask from God, in the day that we gathered, you said, we cannot hear, for not to hear straight from God. And this great fire, we don't want to see this unbelievable fire, and we don't want to die. And God said to me, hey, Tivu, that it's well, it's well what they spoke, that we cannot hear to the word of God straight from him. Navi akum lehem, I'm going to establish a prophet. From their brothers, like you, in the Sati Dvari Befiv, I'll put my word in his mouth, and he will speak to them as kol everything that I command. It will come to pass if a person will not adhere to my words. Which will said in my name, and a person will not follow the words of the prophet. So then, I will demand from him. Verse number 20. But for a prophet who intentionally says something in my name, which I have not commanded, the David to speak, that will prophesy in the name of other gods, and that prophet should be put to death. Now she says, but I commanded somebody else to say it, maybe, but I didn't command him. False prophet. Even if what he says is consistent with Jewish law, to forbid what is forbidden, permit what is permitted, but if he says it in the name of other gods, that's a false prophet. Umeis, as she says, bechenek, strangulation. 3 categories of false prophets are put to death by human courts. He who states prophecy that he did not hear, or states that which was not said to him, but was said to another prophet, or prophecies that are said in the name of idols. He who suppresses his prophecy, or disobeys the prophet's instruction, or disobeys his own prophetic words, is put to death by a heavenly act, that is, by God. As it says, I will enact punishment. So there are certain punishments for a false prophet that was given to the courts, and there are certain false prophets that were given to God, so to say. God was the one who enacted the punishment. Verse 21, and if you say in your heart, how do I recognize the words? How do I know the words that God did not speak? As says in the future, you will say this. And that happened when Hananiah ben Azura will come, and Hananiah ben Azur will come in prophecy. Vessels of the house of God will now be swiftly brought back from Babylon, while Jeremiah stands up and proclaims concerning the pillars, the ritual pools of the sea, and the remaining vessels are not brought back by Yehoiachin into exile. They too were brought to Babylon with the exile of Tzidkiyahu. So all these we come. There was always sad part. There was always false prophets that prophesied things that were not true. It's hard to sometimes to know the difference. Torah says, if a prophet speaks in the name of God, and the thing does not transpire, does not come to pass that which God did not say. Remember, this prophet spoke intentionally. You must not be afraid of him. What does it mean? She says, it will come to pass that the God will not say, meaning, and therefore put him to death. And you ask, this can determine whatever one's foretelling the future is true, prophet. But what if he comes and says, do this and that, and I will, and I say that this instruction is by the Holy One, blessed be He. Already been commanded, if he tempts to have you, if a Navi comes and says to you to do against the Torah, then you're not to listen to him. Unless he's recognized as being a truly righteous person. Like Eliyahu and Harakam, we have one case where a Navi came and brought a sacrifice out of the Beis HaMikdash. Even though the Torah says you're not allowed to bring a sacrifice out of the Beis HaMikdash. But Eliyahu Navi was a bona fide and tested, so to say, prophet, and they listened to him. But if anybody comes to you and just tells you that you should go against the Torah, you don't listen to him, even if he shows you a wonder, a miracle. And who was offered a sacrifice on a private altar at the time when the offering of the private altar was forbidden, in order to protect Israel from idolatry. Any such leniency is dependent on the necessity of the hour and the preventive measure required to counteract the breach of observance. And therefore it says you must hearken to him. So if it's dust, if you realize it's a situation of the moment that there's a need for this, then something else. But if a Navi comes and says, you know what, this mitzvah is not needed anymore. We don't need this mitzvah anymore. Then you know that Navi is a false prophet. This prophet is a false prophet. Do not hold yourself back from incriminating him, and do not be afraid from being punished by killing him. Verse 9, chapter 19, verse number 1. And your God cuts off the nations whose land God, your God, has given to you. Yirash them and you'll inherit it. V'yishaf them and you'll possess. You'll live. Bareim in their cities, or bateim in their houses. Shalish arim tavdelecha. You to separate, designate 3 cities. The midst of your land, the cities of refuge. Asher Hashem alekecha neiselecha rishta, which God, your God, is giving you as inheritance. You have to create the cities. Rashi says this is called miklat. And they would put a sign up in the roads, Miklat, Miklat. They would tell the people, where is the Are Miklat, the city of refuge? Shit. I'm sorry, so only verse 3. You have to make roads to the city of Miklat. You have to divide the country into 3 parts. So you make sure that every Jew has the capability for wherever he was in Israel, that he's in that distance to go to Yerushalayim, to the city of refuge. And so that every murderer can run there. That says Miklat Hayukasav Prasha Drachen. There was a sign that said this way to the Ari Miklat, this way to the city of refuge. Ash says so that what it means divide the Eretz Yisrael. So that from the beginning of the border until the first refuge be the same distance from the first to the second, and the same again for the second to the third refuge. And the same for the third to the opposite, the other side of Israel. So that always, wherever you were in Israel, you were at the same distance from the city of refuge. Who needed to run to a city of refuge? This is the city. This is the case of a murderer that needs to run to a city of refuge, and he should live. If somebody killed somebody inadvertently, there's no hate. So he basically killed somebody unintentionally. Let's say a person goes with his fellow into the forest, into chopped wood, and his hand swings the axe to fell this tree. And the iron fly, and the iron part of the axe flies off the handle. And it reaches his friend that he went with into the forest, and he killed him unintentionally. He should run to one of these cities, and he will live. She says, when he brings the axe down upon the tree, uncle is translated with meaning that his hand moves to bring the axe low down upon the tree. Similarly, Kishamto Abaka, translation in Yonis Nazir, Ari Megari Tarusa, the oxen moved it. But Nashal Abaizim al-Eitz, and the iron slipped off the wood. Some of our rabbis say that this means that the iron slipped off when off its wooden handle. And some say it means the iron caused a chunk to break off of wood being chopped. So it's not exactly clear the meaning of Nashal Abai. Was it that the iron flew off the pole, or was it that the hitting of the iron upon the wood, so a piece of wood flew off? Because lace the blood avenger pursue the killer. Because his heart is hot. And he reaches the murderer. And he goes and he catches his murdered, a son of the person who got murdered. Will catch him. And he called Nefesh and he kills him. And he doesn't have the punishment of death because he didn't kill a guy. Not intentional, not unintentional. He killed him because he killed his father. He doesn't hate him for the previous day. For this reason, I'm telling you to prepare yourself a place of city of refuge. This is a Torah law that is not, we don't do this today. That the Torah called a Goyal Hadam. That means a person can avenge somebody else's, his family's death, and which is an interesting law. And that there was no, as it's in times of the Torah, there was no jails in the Torah. So a person that killed somebody intentionally was brought to court and killed. A person that killed unintentionally had to run to the city of refuge. If not, his life was in his own hands. If somebody could kill him to avenge the blood of the person he killed. When God will make your land bigger, as He commanded your father. And they're going to make the land to become extremely big. The land of Eretz Yisrael goes pretty big, much bigger than today. Also that they were going to receive the three extra nations, Knesset, and Kadmonites. So the land of Israel is even bigger than even what ultimately the Jewish people conquered and David HaMelech conquered. There was an extra part of land. Because you'll follow the commandments that I asked you to do. To love your God. And go in his ways. All the days. You should add another three cities of refuge. As the land becomes bigger, so you need to add more cities of refuge. Now she says that means that ultimately you're going to have Teisha. You're going to have 9 cities of refuge around the country. You have Shalosh Beva Yadin, which Moshe Rabbeinu already separated 3 on the other side of Jordan. Shalosh Beretz Canaan, 3 in the land of Israel. V'Shalosh Lasid Love and Mashiach come, that the land of Israel is going to come bigger. Yishpach dam noki b'kerev artzecha, so innocent blood should not be shed in your land. Hashem alekecha neisla, which your God has given to you, nachla as an inheritance, v'hayalecha damim, and you'll be guilty of the shed of blood. Verse 11. You have a man that hates another person, and he gets up against him, and he stands up upon him, nefesh, and he kills him. He hits him and he kills him. Yos has to run to, because no jails. So Yos has to run to one of these cities of refuge. Ashi says because of his hatred, he'll come to lie in wait for him. Based on this, our sages state, if a person transgresses a light commandment, he will eventually come and transgress a more severe commandment. In this case, because he transgressed, you must not hate. He will eventually come in bloodshed. That's what happens. Starts with hate, and ultimately somebody is going to get hurt. Therefore says, but if a man hates his fellow, when it comes, when could have been would have written, if a man rises up, lies and waits his fellow and strikes him mortally. That's what happens. First, he hates him, and then he goes out and he tries to hurt him. And the elders of the city who must send emissaries there, and they take him from there. Because an intentional murder cannot stay in the city of refuge. He has to be brought to court, and he has to be put to death. And also, put in the hands of the vengeful, but he's put to death. You're not allowed to have any pity on a murderer. You gotta eradicate the bloodshedding of innocent people in the Jewish people, and then it'll be good for you. So you don't have murderers in your midst. Now she says, this is what people say till today. What do you gain out of killing somebody else? The first person is dead already. You can't bring back the first person. So what are you gaining out of killing this person? Just killing two people. So you'd say, this is Rashi, which we say, people say till today, what are you gaining out of killing another person? First person already killed. So why would we kill another person? So now you're killing two people instead of one. That's why the Torah says about you have to eradicate evil. And you're right. Logically, what do you gain out of killing one person, another person? Not going to bring back the first person. But you have to eradicate evil from your midst. If a person kills somebody, especially intentionally, so it shows how far his evil can go. And such an evil person needs to be eradicated from the midst of the Jewish nation. We continue the concept of the 10th letter of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe spoke about the concept of tshuva, repentance. That tshuva has the capability and the power to not only change the future, but to change the past. Because by tshuva, you bring about a light of God, something that's above time and space. So when you bring about something, a revelation of godliness, that's above time and space, so therefore, to that concept, that has no concept of time and space. It rectifies everything from the no past, present, future. Everything is changed. And that's the power of tshuva, repentance. Ikra tshuva hu belev. Now the essence of a tshuva, repentance, is in the heart. Through regret from the depths of the heart, one arouses corresponding depth of the ultimate degree of the supreme light. A person wakens up his heart, shubelev, not just words, but he actually changes his emotions. He has a true emotional feeling. So when the earnest of repentance calls forth the above described superior spiritual light, which rectifies whatever has been lacking in the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs. And that's why tshuva can edify you. Tshuva can be a second. It's above time. Tshuva is a true movement to the change. It's not a statement. It's not talk. It's not a thought. It's a true movement of the heart. That's why tshuva belev. Tshuva is not an intellectual thing. Tshuva is not even a concept of words. Tshuva is a concept of true movement. Charata, feeling sad for the past. So that's the greatness of tshuva. But tshuva is not enough. How do you actually take this light, which God has brought into the world through my tshuva? How do I bring it down to the physical world, that it actually comes within the physical world? I need something more. That's why it says in the Mishnah, it says, it's a better 1 minute of tshuva and good deeds. Because I need the second component. Because the first component is a revelation. Problem is the revelation, how does it come down into a physical reality? How does it come down into the concept of this physical world? And that I need to have something more powerful. I need to bring it down into this physical world. How do I bring this thing down into this physical world? The answer is that is the charity. The charity that I do brings it, because the charity is an action. But chesed, but only a charity and an action I do, believable. Again, if I'm going to give charity, and I'm going to give charity according to what I have to give, what I not, then it's going to be gvul. I have to give tzedakah b'li gvul without a calculation. I need to give tzedakah above calculation. Even though according to the rule, I've already given the amount of tzedakah I'm supposed to give. I already did my ma'aseh. I already did my obligation. No, we need to have a tzedakah that's above your obligation. Why? Because I need to bring down the concept of this revelation, of infinite revelation of God into this physical world. And I'm doing it, and that's through that. I need to make a vessel for that. How can I make a vessel in this world that's above calculation? That's tzedakah. That's the mitzvah of tzedakah. Charity. If I give tzedakah above calculating, above the number, above the law, now I have given, I've done something that I've made a vessel that's above time and space. Just like a man dispenses Rav Chesed, an infinite abundance of kindness. Pirush, Chos, Dalet. The first letters, 2 letters of Chesed is Chos, means yes, pity. And the last letter is spelled the meaning Aramaic, Dalet, Dalus. Chos, Dalus, the less. He is pity on that somebody doesn't have. That's Chesed. Ches Samach Dalet. So you take the word Ches Samach is Chos. It's called that he has pity. And Dalis is a poor man. Dal ve'evin l'esem begavnei come implying you dispense your kindness to an utterly destitute individual who does not have anything of his own. And you don't make a calculation. Person needs, you give. That's it. Oh, but I did my tzedakah for the month. No. Give. Give. That's an expression in the Mishnah. Call up patient yad nicely. It's a Gemara. I mean, when anybody reaches out, what is that? You give. You give. Stop making the calculations when it comes to tzedakah. Why? Because when you give and you don't calculate, that's going to be the response. God will also respond with giving you in an unlimited way. Anika Rav Chesed, which is called Rav Chesed. So not only will God give it in the upper worlds, and it'll come down into a reality that I'll be blessed with Rav Chesed, unlimited Rav Chesed. It's going to be revealed to me without limit. or measure. To the upper worlds and ultimately to the lower worlds. By God, everybody is poor. By God, everybody has nothing. So that there's no difference between God with the upper worlds and this world and me. They're all needy. We're all needy by God. Because without God, we wouldn't exist. So we're all needy. And everything that we have is all God's giving. The last of American that we have nothing. What do we have without God? Everything that we have is from God. That we have the capability to make money, that we have the capability to do things. It's all God's tzedakah. It's God's charity. He gave us that capability. He gave the capability of acquiring. It's all godly given. To him, everything is nothing. So by the Abish is giving to a nothing. Since all creation is no account in his eyes, anything received from the hand, from his hand, is not deserved but gratitude's gift. Everything is a gift. And indeed, it is the very fact that the mortal's endeavors are able to draw down is also a gift. That I can bring about a godly revelation is a gift. Wait a minute, I have great powers. The Abish to put it in a gift that a human being can awaken up his kindness. Why does that happen? Because that's what God wanted. It's a gift. How can I awaken up God's kindness? How can I elicit the whole concept of in Kabbalah, Srusa de la Tata awakens up a Srusa de la Ela, that my action here affects above. Wait a minute, that's a gift. That is because I have such great powers. I'm such a strong individual. I'm such a holy person. It's a gift. At any rate, boundless dukkha and kindness draws down the degree of divine radiance, transcends all worlds. That's it. The Abish says, if you do what's dukkha according to limitations, your limitations, even Jewish law's limitations, then response is limited. You do what's dukkha, limthim ashur sadin, above and beyond the letter of law, your response is unlimited. So through tshuva and tzedakah, because we need both of them. Niskanu kol hapegadim. Now you fix all problems, all the negatives. When a person affected negative in his sins, whether in the upper world or the lower worlds, I hereby fix it through my tshuva and my tzedakah. I accomplish both things. Thus, the measure of performance of dukkha and chesed draws down chesed olam, which is the world-like finite degree of divine benevolence, while the boundless performance dukkha of chesed draws down raf chesed, an infinite degree of the benevolence. And this is what the pasuk says: "Asay tzedakah mishpat." God prefers tzedakah and justice. Nifchal Hashem mizava, even over a carbon. The Eibishter would rather have kindness and justice than karbonis, even though karbonis was a major part of Yiddishkeit and Beis Hamikdash. Karbonis was a major part of it. So why would tzedakah? Tzedakah is giving a penny, or charity I give, or whatever I give. Why is tzedakah greater than a carbon? Because a carbon has its limitations. A carbon has to be a certain kind of an animal. It has to be aim by mum. It has to be no blemishes. It has to be given at a certain time. It has to be eaten at a certain time. There's so many rules and regulations to karbanos. There's no limitations to tzedakah. She'enkim tzedakah. There's no limitations. You can give anything you want. There's no limitations. So although like sacrifice, tzedakah also affects atonement, because karbanos is all about atonement. It may be offered unlike the sacrifice without limit. It is therefore can draw down the divine illumination that corresponds to the infinite, thereby secure superior order of atonement. Mashamru again. Gonna go back here to Opi, Shulchan Aruch or Gemara, and you're gonna show me that it says openly in the Shulchan Aruch, it says Amavaz is Le'avazi Eis Mechaymesh. That the one who is unstanding, that means a very charitable guy. In his charitable giving should not expend more than 1/5 of his earnings. So you can tell me, what are you talking about, Rabbi? The Torah says openly, the Lacha says openly, you should have given more than 1/5, 20%. Again, the Alter Rebbe says, you're right. If you're not a sinner, if you have never sinned, do the law. I should think of it as a good for the third. You rectified it through another way. You fasted, as we mentioned, or look up in the Gemara, all the fast days that you need to do. This 200 fast days, 89 fast days. If you do it that way, because as the Gemara says, there were certain rabbis that their teeth turned black from fasting. Okay, do it that way. But somebody who still needs to remedy the negative things that he's done with his neshama, God forbid, since such an individual need not give tzedakah to rectify his sins. That he did all these things to fix all the negative things he did. Somebody needs to have still remedy. So then, there's no pshita. When a person means it's simple. I'm not the Alter Rebbe saying it's simple. That when you're saying when a person is, God forbid, sick physically, there's a budget. Pastor Shalom. When a person is sick physically, there's no budget. If you don't have the money, you go out and make a collection, the GoFundMe. You go out and you ask the community to collect money for you. You go out and get the remedy. What kind of question is that? And people will surely help you yourself will not have a budget when it comes to your health. So why is the spiritual health worse than physical health? Why is the negative of my soul worth less than the negative of my body? The negative of my body, I got no budget. And suddenly when it comes to the soul, I have a budget. Saying Kesem Nechshem. What does money have to do with physical health? Nothing. Suddenly money becomes devalued, right? Because I need to have health. So therefore, why should the soul be less important to me than my body? So when it comes to my body, no money depends. There's no money. Suddenly, when it comes to my soul, I follow the Shulchan Aruch. I suddenly became a holy individual that we have to follow Shulchan Aruch. We have to follow Code of Jewish Law. Self-understood, the Code of Jewish Law is talking about in normal situation. The Code of Jewish Law is not talking about when there is when you are in a sick situation. When, God forbid, I am not healthy, I need to take care of my soul. As it said, whatever a man has, he will give on behalf of his soul. Simple meaning of the verse is that a person will forego all his wealth in order to save his life, right? A person will forego all his wealth. What is worth all his wealth if he has no life? So if somebody's going to come and threaten you to take away your person's life, you give him all your money. Better you have money. Better you have your life than your money. Right? That's a simple meaning of the verse. But however, it says Rad Nafshay. However, since the word soul is used rather than life, you should have said it says Bad Nafshay. Also understand that it means that a person will give everything in order he should save to rectify his soul. That he shouldn't have any calculations. I should be able to give everything in order to accomplish that my soul should be rectified, that my soul should be forgiven, and I should be able to do tshuva, a complete tshuva. Not only a tshuva that it will bring about the revelation of God, but actually change the physical reality. And to be able to change the physical reality, I need to do something physical. And that is tzedakah. There's only one mitzvah in the Torah that I can do today for sure. There's only one mitzvah in the Torah that I can do without a mid of a gvul, without any kind of time. There's another mitzvah Torah also. You can learn Torah in a way, you can learn Torah in a way that's without mid of gvul also. That's why tshuva comes through Torah, comes to the learning of Torah, because Torah should also be without him. That means, even though a person has, I only have 10 minutes a day, he should break himself and learn 11 minutes a day. Go beyond that 10 minutes. Don't, even though, that's all I have is 10 minutes. Figure out how to go 10 minutes and 11 minutes. And cut off a little bit of your gashmis of the day and learn a little bit more Torah. So go beyond your responsibility officially. Okay, my friends, today is the 4th day of the month, which is in Tehillim. It's chapter 23 to chapter 28. The 3 chapters are chapter 10, 11, and 12. And today's Hayom Yom. First of all, this is the way Chabad does when they are called up to the Torah. With the talis, they touch the beginning and the end of the reading. That's number 1. The Baal Korah should show them where he begins to read and where he ends to read. So he touches the beginning and the end. He kisses the talis where he touched the Torah. He rolls up the Torah. Different kind of customs. At Ashkenazim, they hold the Torah open. By Chabad, we roll up the Torah. We turn our face. You turn your face slightly to the right, and you say the bracha. Say the bracha. Open the Torah and read it. So we make the bracha while the Torah is wounded up in front of us, not covered, but rounded up. And we turn our face a little bit to the right, and we make the bracha. And that's the way we do it the same way when we end the Torah reading. We kiss the place where it was read, the back to the front, and we again roll up the Torah and say the last blessing. Okay, then the Rebbe writes today, in describing the unique qualities of humankind, there are 4 terms used. Adam, man, refers to the quality of mind and intellect. That's the first quality of a human being. Ish is the quality of the heart. Ish, that comes from the word ish. The heart and emotion. Enosh. That's the 3rd name of man. Enosh weakens in either intellect and emotions or both. Enosh shows the weakening of Adam and Ish. And then you have Gever, who overcomes. Gever comes from Gevura, strength. Enosh comes from Enosh is punishment. Also the word unshin. So that's where he weakens. But then you have Gever. Gever means the strengthening of who overcomes the inner weakness. The Eibishter gave him a Yetzirah, Enosh. Gave him an Enosh. He gave him a punishment. He gave him a Yetzirah, which weakens his intellect and his emotions to not to do the right thing. But then the God called him by the 4th name, and that is the Gever, Gevura, strength. He gave him strength. And he gave him strength to overcome his inner weaknesses and to remove the obstacles and hindrance to attaining an intellectual and emotional quality. Meaning, Gever, the word Gever, the 4th word for man, works upon the Enosh to elevate him to the plane of Ish and Adam. So the Gever works on the Enosh. Gever works on the Nefesh HaBahamis, the Enosh, to bring him up, that the Enosh becomes a Ish and an Adam. That's the way it is. So now, since it's possible to turn Enosh into Ish and Adam, since ultimately Gever can turn the Enosh into an Adam and an Ish, it's obvious that Enosh already possesses the qualities found in Ish and Adam. Because if the Nefesh HaBahamis wasn't able to be elevated, so you wouldn't be able to elevate. Because it wasn't made to be elevated. That Enosh can be elevated, that means that in potential, Enosh has already within it Ish and Adam. And that's the beauty of teaching us in general, that it's transformation per se is not something that was not in the system. Tshuva was in the system. That's why in the Gemara it says tshuva was created before even all creation. Because tshuva is in the system already. But that the Jew does tshuva is also a tzedakah. It's also given. It's in the system. The greatness of man is he can pretend, he can reveal it. Doesn't have to reveal it, but he could reveal it. But that means that it's there already. It's already there waiting to be revealed. So even my nefesh abamis elosh is already there. The concept of ish and adam is already there. The only difference is that the gever has to come and reveal the potential into reality. That completes, my friend, the learning of today. Beautiful teaching in Mitzvah at 10 o'clock. We're going to have a class here in the portion, beautiful Sikh of the Rebbe today. A beautiful verse and a beautiful Rashi of today's Parsha. Everybody's welcome to come 10 o'clock to Chabad or on Zoom. I wish you all a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
I have a question, Rabbi.